tell me the story that you told yourself about this student prior to you connecting with him.
Well, this student wasn't really engaging in the class. And what I always tell myself is that if a student isn't engaging, it's because there must be something going on with them that's more important than school. And for me, my job is to find out what that is and to try to make sure that I understand where they're coming from.
The story you're telling yourself is that the student isn't engaging because there are other things in his life that are more important. So tell me about what happened as a result of that story that you told yourself.
Well, I wanted to reach out, and so I called that student's parent, and I talked to the parent, and I just, explained the reasons why being engaged would be important and that school is important. And then I just asked if there was anything that was going on or anything that I can do to help this student become engaged. And so the parent and I talked about that for a little while. And then I asked if it would be okay if I phoned that student and talked to that student one-on-one. And the parent gave me permission for that. So then what I did was I did talk to that student one-on-one. I talked a bit about myself. I didn't get into the schoolwork right away, but I really wanted to convey the message that I really care about this student and that I care about how they're doing.
When you were talking to the student about yourself, can you talk a little bit about what would have happened? Like, what's the risk involved when you talk to students about you personally? Can you talk about that vulnerability just a little bit?
Yes, I mean, definitely you are letting yourself be vulnerable. And we do have to be careful not to cross too many lines, but by explaining how you might have had a hard time with school or certain aspects of school, they need to see you as human. And I always believe that once the student knows you care, then they will care. And they'll do a lot more work for you if they know that you're a human and that you care about them as a human.
So tell me about the result of this. You had this conversation, the child wasn't engaged, you contacted the parents, you let them know your intent, you contacted the student, and you had a personal conversation one-to-one with the student. And tell me about the result of that. What happened after that?
Well, number one, the student started participating and handing in some assignments. And one very important thing that happened was during a quick write, they revealed to me some very personal information about the discovery of their own sexual orientation. And so I felt very honored by that.
So that's quite a transformation from a student who didn't engage to a student who deeply engaged with you personally. Must have felt extremely safe to be able to divulge that information to you.
And now that student is participating and offering answers during class. And it's just really exciting to see the transformation in that student.
So tell me about, what is your story about this student? How has that changed? What story do you tell yourself about this student now?
That they're a very deep thinker, that they want to be engaged, and that school is important to them, but that they have some underlying things that they're just working out in their life, just like everybody does. But I don't think that it's overwhelming them as much as it once was.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this story and for being willing to be a little bit vulnerable here in sharing your information and your story. It's such a powerful story, I think. So I appreciate that so much.
Thank you for letting me share.